welcome. And my name is Katerina, and I'm going to be the host of today's event. So, yeah, and we're going to have today three extraordinary speakers. So let me introduce them. Rost Bitterlich, he's VP of R&D of MaxBill. He's one of MaxBill visionaries, always keeps up with what's going on in the market and of utilities and energy, and of course make sure that MaxBill product development is aligned with current needs and challenges of our clients. And of course, a few words about MaxBill. MaxBill solution is designed to deliver CRM, bill and revenue management for energy and utilities. So our next speaker, Ronnie Rector, Head of AI Programs at MaxBill. Well, I do remember we opened AI branch at MaxBill 2 years ago, right, Ronnie? And I would say he knows all ins and outs of AI embedding into a core system and making more agile, landing retailers more land and so on. So I think we're going to have today a lot of insights about these processes. Okay, and our next speaker is Neil Williams. He is a data scientist in Telix, and he's a dear speaker at many MaxBill's webinars, and he represents Telix. Telix AI helps its clients in the energy, clean tech, and mobility industries invent, deploy, and optimize business solutions powered by data science. And what I like, they say, our modus operandi is be flexible and scalable to meet the specific needs of each project through simple, repeatable processes. Well, I like it. We all like simple, repeatable processes, right? Okay, I think we can kick off. I just want to remind you that we have an Q&A chat here, so please do not hesitate to drop your questions here. We will gladly answer them. Okay, so Rost, I'm giving you the mic. Okay.
Thank you, Katerina. It's nice to be here. Thank you for the invitation from such a wonderful host.
Sure. Thank you.
Today, I want to talk about how AI is changing the future of utilities. And we'll talk specifically about how it changes the role of billing and customer operations. This is not a session about hype or futuristic ideas. It's about a very real shift, very practical, that's already happening, and about what it means for utility businesses that need to stay competitive, efficient, and most importantly, relevant. The main point I want to make today is quite simple. AI is becoming an unavoidable business revolution. The real question is not whether it will happen. The real question is how utilities should respond to it in a practical and safe way. AI? No, previous one, please. I'm still there? Yeah. AI is not just another technology trend that companies can watch from a distance and maybe adopt later when it feels comfortable. It looks much more like a fast and unstoppable shift in the way business will operate. For companies, the real risk is not only adopting AI too early, the bigger risk may be adopting it too late. Because businesses that do not learn how to work in this new way may simply become too slow, too expensive, and too limited to compete. At the same time, there is an important problem with AI. Everyone understands that AI is changing the rules, but nobody can say with full confidence what the final operating model will look like. The technology is still evolving extremely fast. In some areas, it improves month by month, and in some areas, it almost redesigns itself, while companies are still trying to understand it. So the question is not whether this revolution is happening. It clearly is. The real question is this: what is the right practical way to adopt it inside a serious business? How do you use it to create value without losing control? How do you modernize core operations when the technology itself is still changing? And this is exactly why utilities need a pragmatic approach. Not hype, not fear, not waiting. Just a way to decide how to approach these new challenges and to gain value from it. So based on the previous slide, you will ask, and probably your first reaction will be, does this mean legacy is over? Does this mean legacy systems disappear? Does this mean SaaS platforms become irrelevant? Do we need to rebuild everything from scratch? In real utility environments, the answer is no. The market is not showing mass decommissioning of core systems. What we actually see is continued investment in modernization, integration, and controlled evolution. And this makes perfect sense. The system still holds the financial truth of the business. They manage balances, invoices, customers, all required operations, tariff settlements, and so on. Too much. And this is related to money. So for most utilities, the real question is not how to throw everything away. The real question is how to make the existing environment more adaptive, more efficient, and more intelligent without creating unacceptable risk. This is the transformation pattern we believe in. Not destruction of the core, but evolution of the core. There are a few simple reasons why legacy will stay with us for a long time. First, regulation moves more slowly than technology. AI evolves very fast, but legal frameworks, compliance standards, and utility regulation move much more carefully in regulated industries. That matters a lot. These are essential businesses. Second, governance still lags behind capability. Many organizations are excited about AI, but they are still building the right level of security, accountability, auditability, and control over use of AI in an organization. Core systems remain important because they provide stable and controlled outputs. The third reason, transformation is not only about technology. The hardest part is often redesigning workflows, a definition of new responsibilities within organization, controls, approvals, and exception handling around the technology. That takes time. So again, the point is not that legacy disappears. The point is that legacy has to evolve, and AI become one of the strongest tools for that evolution. This brings us to the model that we see as the most realistic and the most efficient. Not legacy or AI, legacy plus AI. There are three practical directions here. The first is AI embedded into existing systems. The billing engine remains the core source of truth, but AI is added around it. It supports tariff designs, issue detection, communication, workflow assistance, user productivity, you name it. The second is running a new AI-based system alongside the existing billing core, providing an independent solution for secondary line of businesses while integrating into enterprise system landscape without affecting core operation. And the third is targeted automation of specific human tasks. Not replacing the whole organization, but improving very concrete activities like inquiry triage, collection reminders, payment arrangement setup, exception handling, service follow-up, or product setup support. This is a much more practical model than a full replacement. At MaxBill, we approach this as an operating model, not as a future idea. We embedded AI into the billing core so business users can work faster with tariffs, bundles, and pricing logic. A good example is machine learning models embedded into customer management and revenue control functionality. The system can predict debt risk or possible churn for a customer or a customer segment. And with what-if simulation tools, managers can test things like tariff, location, or consumption changes and see how the prediction changes as well. That helps them decide what action to take early before churn or debt actually happens. The second is agentic automation, where virtual roles handle routine tasks, but with people still in control. And we automate high-volume manual functions like onboarding, payment, invoicing, and event-based modernization. The principle is simple. People remain in control at all times, but a significant amount of slow, repetitive work can actually be reduced quite dramatically in many cases. And the third is parallel AI native systems, where new AI-based solutions support secondary business lines without impacting the core. This is how utilities can move faster without taking a reckless transformation risk. So to wrap up, the main message is simple. AI can no longer be ignored. The revolution has already started, and for utilities, it is becoming a real business issue, not just a technological topic. At the same time, there is no single path for every company. The practical way to evolve into a modern AI-powered utility is usually a combination of different methods, depending on business complexity, regulatory requirements, and how ready the organization is for this change.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. Yeah. Thank you so much. So, for example, I'm SaaS and I am enterprise and I want to launch a new business line, for example. Like, could you picture me like what should I start from, kind of things, and I want to launch it quicker than I used to previously with SaaS. Should I replace or should I like just show me the picture?
So first of all, you should contact MaxBill and we will help you with defining the right path for AI transformation. Side joke, you need to see, first of all, if you are already an established business and you have some core operation, let's say tenant billing or house energy efficiency, and you don't want to impact this, you can launch another AI-based solution, let's say for an additional line of business. For instance, EV charging within houses that are already in your customer base. And you can run this operation alongside in parallel with your core business. And over time, with a phased approach, integrate it with the existing systems in your organizational landscape. You could, for example, implement and utilize virtual agents or agentic AI and virtual roles on top of it to make this integration more efficient and help reduce unnecessary human tasks that can be replaced. And you can continue in this way.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, dear friends, I want to remind you that we have Q&A chat here, so please do not hesitate to drop your questions. And our next speaker is Ronnie. Ronnie, please, you can proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Rost. Thank you, Katarina, for the opportunity to present what is AI native billing, what it means. I will also share the practical challenges, advantages that we discovered during this process, and how at the end of the day we achieved very high agility and provide vendor independence for our clients. So I will be starting with a scenario that everyone knows. Of course, it is just an example. It is way wider than just one problem. We'll talk about what is the new workflow of AI native billing and how it looks like. As a nice bonus, I will also share from our experience what we learned during this process of building it, the advantages and disadvantages of AI, and where human factor still plays a very important role. Also cover what many businesses consider always when choosing a billing or a revenue management system is whether to build it inside the house, like within the company, buy or embed new AI technologies such as AI native billing. And some closure, but we will get to that. Let's look at the scenario that we have, a very common one. Let's say there is a huge heat wave that is expected to be next week, and we expect that the price of electricity is about to go through the roof. And your company needs to change this rule and adjust the tariff structure for, let's say, 200,000 customers, which is a big volume, and we need to do it fast. Okay, we don't have to, cannot afford ourselves to wait months or two to configure this new package and only then offer that to the customers. It will be too late, and we are just losing an opportunity at best. And at worst, we can even lose revenue. For example, in cases like if we're talking about regulation, as we covered initially, let's bring even another case, another scenario where European Union released a new regulation, and companies that do not apply within a month, for example, they will be fined. Okay, so it directly damages the revenue and causes loss of money because the company wasn't able to simply adjust to the new regulations. Now let's look at what happened next. Yes, according to our previous scenarios, the usual chain of dependencies is first starting with an idea. A commercial team finds an opportunity to come up with a new campaign, a new package to release it to the market. It defines the campaign, what it should do, how much it should cost, and it moves to the next department, the next entity, which is the business analyst, which look at this campaign, try to maybe write more correct specification, find gaps, map it, how it will work in the current billing or revenue management system, and only then it get approved and move to the next stage, which is whether the vendor, if you are using external vendor to do the billing configuration, or the IT team, if you decided to go with a build in-house billing system. Only on the vendor or IT team, as you all know, it doesn't take days, even not weeks. Only this phase can take probably a few months. After that, we of course need to test it, verify that everything is configured correctly, all the rates are in place, and only then we can go live, release it to the market, and start billing and rating according to our new packages and new commercial offers that we decided to release. Each transaction between the entities you see here takes time, not only as an individual, but also the transition per each phase takes also time to hand over. And this delay end up and accumulates to a typical timeline of 3 to 6 months, which is a lot of time, and usually it's too late, and it doesn't have to look like that. So now we will talk what AI native billing actually looks like in that situation, in that chain of transactions, because as you understand, and we have even seen and had experience with utility companies that got an opportunity and don't even try to use this opportunity because they know they don't have nor the ability, not the flexibility, and not the money to do so, because each changes, if you are dependent on other legacy system, it costs money. Yeah, so as a result, they just skip the opportunity, and it doesn't have to look like that. Now, how it should look like, and I'm not talking about some future vision, some of our roadmap, some imaginary situation. I'm talking about what we actually built, tested, and released to the market, and how it should look like in this AI era. So first of all, the business user, which can be the business analyst, the commercial team, should have the ability to configure it directly, meaning not dealing with tickets to vendors, not talking to IT team, do this, do that, and then they will check and do many more iteration, and each iteration with humans take a lot of time. So we simplify it by just describing what we need, because the business analyst of the commercial teams actually knows what he wants to achieve, and the AI generates it. Okay, it may seem like a flat or too strange to handle such complex operation, because we know it's not that simple as it looks like. We may have complex tariff structure, tiers, conditions. Of course, it's not that simple, but this is how it should look like in especially in 2026 and onwards, because these are the places where we should and must utilize AI, because this is what he does good. Next, we are using AI to generate an executable logic. What is executable logic? Is after our business analyst described the logic of what he wants to release to the market, AI will generate pricing rules, some scripts, code, store it inside the database, and once we stored it inside the database, we have the ability to maintain it, scale it, and use it on a recurrent basis. And after that, output feeds to the billing engine. Now we have a special billing engine that knows how to take this executable logic that the business described, that you described, and do all relevant and necessary tasks up until the point we produce invoices. Okay, so in other words, we just went through the whole flow quickly by using our LLM and AI modules and chains from the point that we described the logic to the stage of generating executable logic to the feeding this logic to billing engine, which at the end of the day generates the invoices. Now, the flow in more details a little bit is, as I mentioned, first of all, the business should describe, the utility company should describe what tariff structure they want to have and what campaign they want to release. Later, our AI modules generate this catalog. Okay, catalog may have packages, may have products, items. Each item and product may have its own logic, own conditions, own price structure. Then we store this catalog, and once we store the catalog, we can start selling this catalog to our clients, to your clients. Before that, of course, humans should review the catalog, should review the logic, that AI understood everything and generate everything correctly, and then execute. As I said, the billing engine knows how to work without executable logic, and we managed to achieve not a reduction from let's say half a year to 3 months. No, I'm talking about much larger impact. We reduced it to an hours to maximum days from the point which the marketing teams or the commercial team or the business analyst come up with an idea up until he managed to go to the market. Yes, it can take from hours to days. Okay, we completely segregated it from the traditional process that took 3 to 6 months, which is a huge improvement, and we can confidently call it a revolution. Okay, very impactful modules. Now, an important touch here is honesty. And what I mean by that, we see a lot in different places, some claims that we just need to give AI and forget about it. Skipped, yeah, okay. We hear a lot of stories that people or companies manage to just build something and fully AI based, so the business just need to tell it and forget. But that's not the case, and in my opinion, that's something that hurts the credibility of AI. Okay, AI is a real thing. It's software. It's just a software extension. We should not treat it as some magic wand that does everything. No, we still have the part that AI plays well. We have the human part that plays well, and we need to find a way to work best with both of them. Okay, so we don't have a magic wand, but we do utilize AI to generate the tariff structure based on the domain knowledge that we trained him on, create all the price rule, all the billing scripts, code that will be later fed to a billing engine, catalog configuration, and billing bundling. So as I mentioned, AI creates all of that. And consistency check, something that before AI human had to do manually, and it took a lot of time, but now we can delegate these small pieces of logic to AI to handle. Where human is still essential, and AI enables human to have more time to do so, which is very good, because now human can focus on the important part of the business, not on repeatable tasks. So AI still need to review the generated logic. Okay, we need to see that he configured everything in the way that we imagined in the first place. And let's be honest, even when we are expanding between humans, we also don't always understand each other. So of course, we need to verify that we have a mutual understanding. The other thing is edge cases in regulatory compliances. So of course, there might be cases that AI models are still not aware of because we are moving forward and we need to keep a human brain on edge cases. The next and very, very important is the strategic pricing decision. Yes, we can use AI to collect all the data to make a more informative decision, to make a better based decision, but still the strategy should be managed by a human. And exception handling for unusual accounts. From our experience, there are always a few special clients accounts that require a specific approach, which still we need human involvement. But those exceptions, on the one hand, should be handled by a human, but we should improve our AI models based on that exceptions. So in the future, there will be no exception, but just another regular case. Now I will share with you some nice stuff. I think not everyone shares it because, first of all, not everyone managed to achieve real AI native billing, and after they achieve, sharing is, I would say, can treat it as some secret, but I don't think it should be. We should openly discuss it, criticize it together, and improve together in this market. So first thing that we learned is that generating the tariff logic is the easy part. Okay, everyone today can go in ChatGPT, Gemini, ask him to generate me some script that will do some calculation, do some nice conditions. But from this point up until the point that you have a real billing system or revenue management system, the way is very long, very long. Okay, to make it maintainable, scalable, and be able to use it on a current basis and apply quick changes, you have to have a good enterprise system in place. So the real engineering actually went in the last mile, okay, using the AI output to put inside the billing engine and to get invoices. This was the real challenge, okay? Generating scripts, everyone can do it. The other thing is business users understand it faster than expected. So when clients or users hear AI, from them, it sounds like some complex new technology and assume that the adoption of this technology will be harder because it sounds complex, LLMs, machine learning, it's maybe overwhelming. But once we introduce tools that speaks the business language of our clients, what is campaigns, what is pricing, what are packages, what is utility, what is kilowatt hours. Once we did that, business users actually find it more easy to use rather than old system which are very fixed. So yeah, this was a good surprise and adoption became as natural. The last thing is trust. I spoke about it briefly about honesty, and honesty and trust come together. And not only businesses think that AI is complex, but nobody trusts AI. Because if we say, okay, we just have AI that doing some generated billing logic. Of course, it sounds scary, but when we put a lot of engineering logic and domain knowledge with combination with AI, as Rost mentioned in the previous presentation, where it works in parallel, yes, we not just wave a magic wand of AI and billing suddenly appears. Okay, it doesn't look like that. So yes, I think we have more work to do in this area of gaining trust and understanding what AI native billing actually means and what benefits and credibility and accuracy it can actually provide. Now, let's speak about buy, build, and embed. So we had businesses and companies come to us with a decision to make. They either want to build something on their own, whether to buy some already existing legacy system, or they are exploring the possibility of embedding AI in billing. Now, each approach is a possibility for them, and each one has its own risks and cost and timeline. So if we are speaking about building your own billing, usually the risk is high. And the reason the risk is high is, first of all, it's not your core business. Okay, in billing we have many things that nuances that can go wrong, or you need to know, or can pop up in the middle of a billing cycle, and then you have inaccurate invoices. So the risk is very high, and also the duration of building such system also it's a big timeline, and big timeline equal very big investment of money and resources, human resources, to build such system. The other option is buy. Usually legacy systems, vendors, yes, they provide billing. The risk is medium because they know what they're doing. They are on the market a lot of time. But if you want to have some change, maybe even new report, you have to submit a ticket, vendor ticket. Then the vendor will give you probably some price for the change up until you agree on the timeline and the scope and the costs, and only then the vendor will go implement it. It's not the fact that you will be first priority. So I would say here the challenges or the disadvantage is the cost and dependency on a vendor. And when we are talking about AI embedded in native billing, it's more appealing from a lot of point of views because we provide vendor independency. Okay, meaning when we have AI that understand our domain, understand what we are doing in utility, we can simply work with AI to do this kind of modification. We do not need to register some tickets, wait for a vendor to prioritize us. No, we want to provide you maximum flexibility using our AI models that are already domain trained. They know this domain, they have the knowledge and the capability to introduce accurate invoices. To sum it all up, my take on the situation and the technology that is used in billing in a revenue management system for utilities is now the time between business idea and live product must be reduced. And this will impact directly the advantages you have over utilities companies that doesn't have this type of ability yet. If you have the ability to move in matters of days, you have automatic advantage over other companies that their movement or agility time is much lower. Okay, this is changes from the core how energy retailers compete. Yeah. Now, what doesn't change yet is we still need humans that understand billing, understand the business, understand utility and the regulation. and your customers, because you know your customers best. Yes, as I said, you still need to make the strategic decision on pricing. You can use AI to make a better decision, to be more informative with more data, but still, you know your clients and you should do this kind of strategic decisions. AI just makes you faster and more accurate in this competitive environment, but still, you are the leader, you're the head, and these are just tools. So your judgment is the still main priority. Thank you. This is all from my side.
Thank you, Ronnie. First of all, thank you for sharing secrets. We appreciate it. And I like the fact that you guys removed hardcore logic and minimized vendor dependency. Yeah, and actually, we have a question for you. There's a question for you. AI generates the catalog entry, price structure, tariff logic based on the business user descriptions. Human validation includes the review of AI generation and internal tests also. I think you have already mentioned this kind of information, but could you please, yeah.
Okay, so the question is that we have that AI generates catalog. This is correct. It generates all the tariff structure conditions inside the system. And it runs also its own validations, own verifications to see that it's configured correctly. And after he does its own verification, the human should validate and review the output, of course. I'm not sure what internal tests mean. I guess internal tests, which usually was done by IT team or by the vendor, but now AI can take a big part of that internal testing. But yes, human validation is still in place, as I mentioned. The human needs to understand that his idea is understood and implemented by AI.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we can proceed to our next speaker. Thank you, Ronnie. And well, when regarding future of utilities, we cannot not to talk about compliance and regulation affairs inside the company. So yeah, we have an amazing speaker, Neil Williams, who will present what actually the company should do to be compliant and how actually AI can help with it. Welcome, Neil.
Thank you, Katerina. So, hello. I'll begin the next part of our roundtable by outlining how AI can support regulatory affairs. First, I'll present some general opinions, and then I'll outline 3 of my recent cases. I've worked with AI for about 40 years, so it's fair to say that I've been around the block a few times. In this long career, I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I was awarded a PhD for research in computer vision, and I've recently had a book published on the topics of Python and GPT. For the past few years, I've been doing a lot of regulatory work, in particular helping my clients navigate COVID, the energy crisis, and 2 major conflicts. My advice, like that of many experts, is that AI adoption has to be systematic. Process first, data second, AI third. If the workflow is weak, AI can create confusion. If the evidence base is messy, AI amplifies noise. If both process and data are in decent shape, then AI has a great chance to be genuinely useful. Now that's simple common sense, but it's in danger of being drowned out in all the AI hype. The complexity, volume, and variety of requirements and compliance are rising. At the same time, digital innovation is accelerating, particularly with regards to AI. Now, I feel strongly that regulatory affairs needs AI support, and I stress support, not replacement. AI cannot remove accountability, and because much of the work is social, a large part of the role remains inherently human. Overall, I think regulatory affairs is becoming intelligence, not just filing. Filing still matters, of course, but the differentiator is increasing the ability to scan, interpret, compare, and prioritize what matters. We need continuous assurance, not periodic engagement. There will always be consultations, deadlines, submissions, and formal interactions. But I feel a shift more towards ongoing monitoring and earlier intervention. I believe that regulatory affairs is now becoming an operational capability, not just back office support. My first case is a data app. The original brief was to explore public disclosures mandated by Ofgem, the regulator of the UK's gas and electricity markets. The goal was to discover if this raw data could be turned into something usable, searchable, and interpretable. The input was public disclosures from dozens of utilities in the UK. Structured data layer came from extracting, transforming, and loading the raw data. The interpretive work was about identifying gaps, anomalies, and patterns. That in turn supported a techno-economic assessment of the UK's business supply market. And the final step was to publish the outputs as a website. This case proved that with AI's help, meaningful analysis can be achieved with limited resources, and that public regulatory data can be mined and refined relatively cheaply. The second example is an AI-assisted reply to Ofgem's Consolidated Segmental Statements consultations. This was in October 2025. It was a direct follow-on from the development of the data app that I shared a minute ago. This case proves that with the help of AI, a smaller player can engage in a complex consultation and develop at the same time a constructive public position. The inputs were the consultation pack and historic responses from supply businesses. Structured layer comprised AI-generated summaries and references. From review, it was clear that most licensed suppliers were taking a fairly defensive position around the scheme. In the next step, human magic came to the fore. Through critical thinking, a constructive counterpoint emerged. The design of the data framework within the scheme had great potential for improvement. With a few small, straightforward changes, the scheme could become a strong example of open data, rather than an initiative that's open but semi-open in practice. Final step was to take action by writing to Ofgem. The product was an open consultation letter which took a positive line and argued for putting machine readability first. This was in sharp contrast to other respondents, whose concerns were mostly burden, cost, and proportionality. Importantly, this case shows that generative AI can lower the cost of serious participation in regulation. Lastly, I outline a media monitoring case at Champion Energy, a small electricity supplier serving business customers throughout the UK. The inputs were web content from Ofgem. Structured layer was web crawling and indexing with Elasticsearch. The interpretive layer sits in Kibana dashboards, which provide search-driven insight. The business mapping comprised media monitoring jobs, which are done on an ongoing basis by AI agents. And the action layer is the proactive stance that Champion Energy is developing with the help of this innovation. This minimal viable product shows that the economics have changed. A lightweight capability can now be prototyped quickly and cheaply. Now here's a sidebar. Seems to me that most people want to talk about the machine intelligence. For example, is Claude better than Gemini? Or did you see that crazy output from that dumbass LLM? But I think that in practice, the harder, more valuable problem is upstream. Can you ingest the evidence? Can you structure it? Can you search it? Can you compare it? Can you trace where a claim came from? If you can do these things well, then AI becomes more useful. Fortunately, if you can't, then there's real risk that your AI assistants will produce slop. Now, there's a lot of technology that can help with the unglamorous but essential work of turning messy inputs into structured, traceable evidence. ChatGPT and Claude, etc., are useful here, as well as support from tools like Obsidian, Observable, Elastic, and Zotero. These provide knowledge capture, data management, exploration, and orchestration. My conclusion is that the future of regulatory affairs looks more like regulatory intelligence, evidence handling, continuous assurance, and earlier intervention. AI will not replace regulatory affairs people. However, it will change what we can do well and how quickly we do it. If used wisely, AI will help small teams punch above their weight. So to wrap up, I bring to the table the following questions. In the light of the ongoing adoption of AI, is regulatory affairs more than a function of assurance? Can AI help regulatory affairs become a source of competitive advantage? Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Okay, so my question for you is, for example, what's the difference of applying the model between regulated utilities and versus competitive energy retailers? What would be the difference for them considering the application of the model?
I find that all utilities, and in fact every business is having an increasing burden of compliance. Particularly in the UK, the Ofgem have increased significantly in response to the energy crisis, the rules and regulations, particularly around financial stability. So these forces are making the job of regulatory compliance harder. And in our case, at Champion Energy in particular, which is a very small supplier, I have to be honest, if we didn't have the help of generative AI, we would not be able to cope with the additional burden of regulatory compliance.
Thank you so much. And also we have the question, well, what's the best use of AI in your opinion? Summarizing regulation, detecting operational non-compliance, preparing consultation responses, or facing commercial impact? In your opinion, what's the first priority for this particular? Yeah.
The glib answer is all of the above. Everything is important, but these things are, I would say, the tip of the iceberg. I think the point I'm trying to stress is with AI, it's a fantastic tool, but garbage in, garbage out. If you don't structure your processes and your data, and you don't pick the right tooling, you're not going to be able to achieve the benefits of these things in regulatory affairs. Regarding which one becomes the priority, that will change from day to day. We at Champion Energy, I refer back to them again. We had a certain number of regulatory priorities 2 weeks ago, and then Mr. Trump decided to take certain action that completely turned our priorities on their head within a space of 24 hours.
I understand, yeah.
So I think business is becoming faster, and all businesses need to handle cost of delay. So being able to respond quickly to changing priorities is the priority, I would say. And AI helps that. It helps in that regard because it can help. It can support humans dealing with a huge volume of data and intelligence.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your for sharing your opinion and giving such helpful use cases. And I think we did really understand how important, to be enhanced, I would say, so with AI when it's about compliance. And yeah, I think First of all, thank you so much to all the speakers for sharing your expertise, for sharing your knowledge. Thank you, Ross, for telling us that SaaS legacy system shouldn't go anywhere, and AI is just the way to enhance the core systems. And thank you, Ronnie, for telling us that we actually you guys removed hardcore logic and how retailers can become more agile and more and launch their service, their products way faster and faster, and this way get competitive edge. And thank you, Neil, for giving us such a great picture and broad picture of how AI can actually help with compliance and how we can improve our regulatory affairs inside the organization. Thank you so much for sharing again your knowledge and expertise, and thank you all the attendees for coming, and see you on next MaxBill events.